Well, hey everybody, it's Outland, and I got a very special guest with me today. I have Jonathan Slider with me, and I met him at the Adventure Summit here in Dayton, Ohio, and he had a really awesome presentation. I was really impressed with it, and I really wanted to have him come on and just talk on the channel and kind of give us some of his background and his experiences, and talk about his founding there. So, Jonathan, thank you so much for coming on, man.
Thanks for having me. I'm super pumped, and I really enjoy your content. And yeah, I'm just excited just to kind of talk with another human being about the outdoors.
Yeah, man, this is awesome. And you're the first like non-YouTuber I've had. So this will be a great perspective.
Very cool. Very cool.
Sweet, man. So yeah, like I said, I met you through the Adventure Summit, through your presentation there. Tell us, man, how you got into hiking, camping, backpacking, and all that stuff.
So didn't really have much experience with it until about 2013. I had a buddy that I met at church, and he was just kind of, hey man, you want to go hiking? You want to go backpacking? And I'm like, okay. I mean, I used to play outside as a kid. I used to love to camp, just like an overnight type thing, go to Jellystone Park when I was younger. And he's like, well, we can go out to Zaleski. I'm like, Zaleski, what is that? He's like, well, no, it's Zaleski State Forest. It's here in Ohio. I'm like, really? So I don't have any gear, which I came upon an external frame Kelty, a 90-liter pack that a guy had given to me to say, hey, if you ever want to go hiking, here you go. And so I knew nothing about hiking. I knew nothing about backpacking, other than you put stuff in your back and you walk up a mountain and you camp, and then you do that. So we ended up getting two more guys together, and I thought, hey, this would be a great time to bond and go outside and hang out and drink a little bit of adult beverage. So I bought a 30 pack of PBR, put it in my bag with some ice and some food, and thought, hey, this will get me through the night with 4 guys. And little did I know I did everything wrong from the very first moment I put the boot on the trail. But I came back absolutely loving it. And since then, that's all I can think about. That's all I want to do with my life. I actually did a career change to start pursuing the outdoors. And all these trips that I've done, I've been to Dolly Sods Wilderness. I've section hiked a lot of the Appalachian Trail in Virginia and Tennessee and that area. Red River Gorge is huge for me. And I love that area because it's just 3 hours from where we live. And it's beautiful, beautiful country out there. And so for me, I was just like, well, I can't stop thinking about this. This is all I really want to do. So in March of last year, I started pursuing a master's degree in sports management with a focus of outdoor adventure sport. So, one thing led to next, and I got an invitation to speak at the Adventure Summit where you and I met. And I presented on the Virginia Triple Crown, which is Dragon's Tooth, McAfee Knob, and Tinker Cliffs. Did it in about 4 days, 3 nights, and really loved it by myself. And it was just a great experience to have. And I was fortunate enough to share it this past February.
Yeah, so tell us about that hike, man. That was a really interesting presentation you had on that. I have not done that full Triple Crown hike, but I really want to.
Yeah, so it kind of came, it was kind of fortuitous that I got to do it by myself. Every October, I like to put a guy's trip together. Like I said, back in June of 2013, I did that one overnight hike in Zaleski, and I was hooked. And so that following October, I put a trip together and went down to Red River Gorge. And trips have just gotten, more exciting, nicer areas to go and wilderness areas to go to. And this past year, I was putting the trip together, and I reached out to a couple of my buddies, and I said, hey guys, I got a great trip. It's going to be like a 5-6 day trip. We're going to go ahead and do the Virginia Triple Crown. And then one after another, guys kept saying, I can't go, job, kids, work. I mean, there's all the different things came up, and I didn't want to not do my annual trip. So I was like, you know what? I'll go do it by myself. I've done a solo trip or 2 by myself. I'm just going to go ahead and do it. And so I planned it out, used all the mapping tools you can think of, all trails, used gut hook guides, a section of southeastern Virginia to make sure I knew where I was going, where I was at, what I needed to get to, where I needed to get to. And I just put it all together and drove out there by myself on a Sunday morning, got there, And what was going to be 5 to 6 days turned into be 3 to 4 days. So it ended up being 4 days, 3 nights. Weather took a turn at the end, but thankfully I got the whole loop in, and I was able to get back to my car and get home. So it was beautiful. It was amazing.
Yeah, that's it looks like an absolutely awesome hike. I've been down to Virginia a few times. I was there a couple years ago. You know, I backpacked Grayson Highlands a few times, and it's just love that area. Virginia is just gorgeous. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So you kind of got thrown into a solo trip for that one, but what do you prefer going group trips, or do you like solo too, or either way?
I think for the ones that are further away from home, going in a group is more ideal. It's more of the adventure, the camaraderie about it. I did my first solo trip was down to Red River Gorge, and it was Indian Staircase. I did a 9 mile out, and then a 6 mile back, stayed overnight, or the second night I stayed overnight, and then 3 miles back. So it was 9 out, 9 back. Really enjoyed that. It was great to kind of get out. But the solo trips versus group trips, like I said, I was kind of handed a solo trip this past year because I didn't want to give up my annual trip. I think there's pros and cons to both, honestly. Solo trip is good to kind of clear your headspace. It's good to kind of have those internal conversations and monologues that you should be having on a regular basis. I think it's good for self-care. It also allows you to kind of put some things into perspective. I've never done a through hike. I would love to do a through hike. And there's a lot of aspects of it that are very appealing to me, such as the tramley, which if people are listening and watching and don't know what a tramley is, it's a trail family. It's people you kind of just get lumped in together. And that's very appealing to me. The other part of it is the times you are going to be by yourself, because you will find yourself, from everything I've seen and read and heard, that you will be by yourself. And those are the moments that you kind of get to address some things you may have kind of put away for a while, put on the shelf to address, whether it's just kind of identity things, whether it's, kind of just life decisions, life directions. I love this quote. It says, you never go out to solve your problems on a through hike. You have to face them. And I think that's so true. And so, yeah, I think solo versus group, I think there's benefits to both. I love the relationship, the camaraderie of the group hikes, the memories you make. But I think the important part of that is everyone should be on the same page about how many miles you're going to do, where you're going to stay, and just kind of the expectations of what's happening while you're out there.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I do kind of the same thing. We do what's called our man camp. I have a group of guys that, we try to plan a trip every year, and, we kind of offset it. So one year it'll be someplace kind of close and real easy to get to, local. And then the next year might do some really epic thing. We'll go out to Colorado or something. And
Nice.
so we've done it the past several years. And this last summer, we went to Colorado. That was our big trip. And we had 6 guys that went on this trip, and it was awesome, but it was tough to coordinate. It's tough the more people you start adding, the harder it is to get that everybody on the same page and everybody, okay, this is when we're going to do this and that. But it's fun though. Getting all those guys together it's a blast.
Yeah, and it's funny you call yours man camp. We call ours mancation, and it was cool because it started off like the original 4 of us that went in June of 2013 to Zaleski, and then that October ended up being about 6 of us, and then it just started growing in popularity. People wanted to do it, and we ended up going down to Sterling Mountain down in Tennessee, North Carolina. Ended up having 12 guys with us.
Oh, wow.
And that was one of the most frustrating trips I've been on, because everyone wanted to do their own thing. And I'm all about that. It's great. But when you have probably more than 6 people, that's when personalities kind of have to start to be organized and everything. But when you're outdoors, it's hard to do that. So anything more than 6, I think, is a little too much.
Yeah, because you usually have to plan the trip around the least capable person, unfortunately. So it's like, okay, this is the most amount of miles we can do, because somebody's not going to be able to. That used to be me. The very first few trips we did, because I was cut out of shape at the beginning, and 11 years ago when we first started doing it. I remember we went to Charles Dean, Indiana, and that's like nothing. That's like nothing. It's pretty simple there. There's like a few hills. But, I was way overpacked, had this huge 48-liter pack on with way too much crap. And I remember because we went with my friend, and we would always take something, like some kind of special thing for when we got to camp. And I was joking. I was like, "Oh, next time we should bring boxed wine or something. That'd be hilarious." Well, it turns out one of my buddies had boxed wine in his pack that he carried for miles and miles and miles till we got to camp, and then he broke it out, and I was like, "Oh, I just totally made fun of that." I felt like an idiot.
No, there's always that one guy on the trips. If they're new, they're always the guy that brings too much because they think they're not going to have enough. And as you've heard, we pack our fears. My buddy, who I will not name, if he watches this, he knows who he is. He packed probably, I'm not exaggerating, it was probably almost 70 pounds that he carried. And he ended up rolling both ankles our very first trip, and another buddy and I had to help him with his pack, and he just unloaded everything that he didn't want to carry, and he learned. But then next year there was that same guy that did, not the same guy, but the same person type that did it, just overpacked. And I think there's something about that. Like, you're going out there and you have this thing on your back that you're like, oh, I can carry stuff in. You don't have to fill every pocket. You don't.
Right. It's real easy to do. And like you said, packing your fears. I might need this. I might need that. You really don't. I've gone so minimal now that borderline ultralight, and I'm fine every single trip. I just don't need that much stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
But so we talked about some of the locations you've been in Virginia, and we talked about the Red River Gorge. Favorite location of mine. I talk about it every single video. What are some other places that you like to go? What are some of your bucket list locations?
Wow. Bucket list would probably be Boundary Waters, I should say. UP. I'd love to go up there. I was born in Colorado. This hat is from a podcast and a blog, The Trek, out in Colorado. And last time I was there, was just going through the airport about a year ago, but I've not been since I was a kid. And I remember vividly looking out our front door and just seeing the mountains. And there's just this kindred thing. Like, I think it's in my DNA, it's in my blood because I was born there. That's something like the air just got into my DNA. And that's why I love the outdoors. I love the mountains. If you were to give me the ocean or the mountains, I'd pick the mountains every day. Or if a nice vista, give me one of those and then kind of get best of both worlds. But yeah, I definitely would like to get out to Colorado. I went out to Utah about 2 years ago with my wife, out to Salt Lake City, and did some hiking out there. It's gorgeous. I would love just to do, like I said, I'd probably like to definitely do the through hike of the AT and get that. But one of my favorite places I've been that I would like to go back to is Dolly Sods, now that I know what I'm getting into. It was gorgeous when we were there. But yeah, I want to expand my hiking. I think out west is intimidating from the acclimation standpoint, which I don't know why I feel that way. Maybe because I'm an A-type personality and organization, and I don't want to have to schedule a day to acclimate. I just want to hit the ground running. So that's one thing. But I would love to get out west. I'd love to do the Pacific Northwest, get out to Washington, Oregon, do some stuff out there.
So beautiful out there. Yeah, that trip we did to Colorado last summer, was my first time on a 14er. Didn't complete it. Got about 13.8, something like that, and we had to turn around. And I was so disappointed because I could see the summit, but it was like being smart. It's like, okay, I don't know if I'll be able to make it back down if I keep going. So
yeah.
But it was, it was just amazing. It was just gorgeous, and that was like one of the easiest. I think it's considered the easiest 14er in Colorado. But
us at 900 feet, here in Dayton.
And it, that's the thing here in Dayton. It's like we don't have anything like that. It's like there's nothing to prepare you in any way at all for that.
No, not at all. When I went to Sterling Mountain, Baxter Trail and the AT, you get up to about 5,000 feet there, but still, it's nothing even close to that. I might be misquoting the altitude, the elevation, but it's a lot higher than where we're at right now. So you can definitely feel it.
Yeah, Definitely feel it. But I had a much better experience this last time than the very first time I went out there. And I don't know why it was different, but the very first time I went like 10 years ago, I think I was in May. It was like Memorial Day, and
Mm.
there was still snow, and I was post holing, and the altitude just about killed me.
Oh man.
I don't know what happened, but this last time I went, didn't bother me at all. Really didn't bother me too much, except for the 14er.
Yeah, that's definitely. I'd like to get out there, and a lot of people I follow on social media that are from out that way. I mean, just beautiful, beautiful places. I just love to get there.
So talking about here in Dayton, how'd you end up in Ohio, man? Like from Colorado?
So my mom was military, so she's from Michigan. Um, and after the military, she got out 'cause she was pregnant with me. We ended up moving back here when I was about 4. And then I just kind of moved a lot. Journeyman, unintentionally, obviously, as a kid, you can't really make the decisions of moving. But my mom, she just kind of has this traveler, this pioneer spirit. And so she just moved us back and forth, my brother and I, between Michigan and where she's from, and down here in Ohio, where she met had a friend, really close friend in the military, and just lived here. And we ended up settling here my freshman year of high school, and ended up staying here till about 2000 when I joined the military. And then I went out to San Diego for about 6 months for school, and then I, ended up getting stationed out in Norfolk and Virginia Beach, and I was out there till about 2012. Got out of the military 2008. So about 4 years after I got out, I was still there, and my wife was from Virginia Beach, and just kind of had this wild hair to come back to Ohio. And we got back here, and things were kind of starting to come back to life. It was kind of like that green little leaf coming out of the little bean as Dayton started to come back to life, and now it's moving forward. It's exciting. It's exciting to be here.
It is. I complain about it a lot, but Dayton is a very cool town, and we actually have a lot of opportunities if you know where to look. And there are actually a lot of outdoor opportunities. We have a really nice Metro Park system here.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty much my go-to. I live close to 2 of them up here in Huber Heights. I live close to Taylorsville and
Awesome.
Carriage Hill. I'm close to those 2. But I go to Germantown Metro Park a lot. Love it down there.
Love that. Yeah. I was actually, because like I was saying, I'm a master's program and getting towards the tail end of it. So I'm in the transition stage part of my master's where like now you have to do a resume and cover letter and all that. And I did the cover letter as if I was applying for a job at the Metro Park. So part of the assignment was to do some research. And the history of the Metro Parks is very fascinating. Not to go into a history lesson, but it was in 1963 as Dayton started to explode with population. People started noticing, hey, our open spaces are starting to be taken. And if we don't do anything about it, if we don't protect it, we're not going to have it. And so a garden club and another group of citizens came together and they formed the Metro Parks. And it's been growing ever since. And it's probably one of the nicest Metro Parks systems that I've been a part of. And I'm very proud to be able to be a part of it and enjoy what they have. So they're doing a great job.
Yeah, they really do. They're taking a great care of these areas and just opening up new areas, and it's fantastic. And the educational opportunities, which we'll talk about here in a little bit, but the educational things that they offer for people to get outside, and it's just really cool.
Yeah, loving it a lot.
So we were talking about gear. I just want to get back to that real quick. So what's your current gear loadout look like?
So I have not progressed to where you are yet. I would love to get a lot lighter. As you know, the lighter you get, the more money you have to spend, unfortunately, or you just make, better decisions of what not to take. So I'm still, what I took with me on my Virginia Triple Crown was my Osprey Atmos 65. And I wouldn't say I had it packed out. I probably was around 30 pounds, which is on the lighter side for me. And then I actually have is an Osprey 38 liter. I forget the actual model number, but I took that to Red River last year and I loved it because I was rocking my MSR Carbon Reflex 1 single man tent, super light. I'm rocking a Nemo Tensor sleeping pad. I love that. I picked that up the end of last year, and it's so nice. I decided to go with that over the Thermarest just because of noise. They're pretty comparable in regards to quality and everything, but I laid on the Tensor at my local outfitter, and I just loved it. I'm rocking some Diamondback, the cork, I forget the actual model, of Trek poles. I love that. And rocking some Morel boots. I did do my ultra or my solo in some ultra Lone Peaks trail runners. I wanted to see how they handled. I pronate in when I run, and so I was concerned that would be the case. But the open toe box in those shoes really opened me up and helped me out, and had no problems with my feet or my knees. And so I really enjoy that. Sleeping bag wise, I got, man, you name it, I got the degree. So I love, I have a Mountain Smith 20-degree bag. That was one of my first sleeping bags. I just picked up a Nemo 35 degree bag, and it's decent. The reviews on it are pretty accurate in regards to temperature. You're right at the rating, about 35 degrees. I slept in it about a week or two ago in the backyard, and yeah, it was a little cold, and it got down below 35. So
Yeah.
Yeah, and then I have a Marmot 55-degree bag, and really enjoy that one too. So
Nice.
yeah, I like Osprey a lot. I know they're great for beginner hikers. They're great for experienced hikers. I would like to get in something a little lighter, Gossamer gear or Hyperlight or something like that. But you got to pony up the money. But I'm getting there. So yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely not cheap. You start getting into some of that stuff. It's like, wow, really?
Yeah, but at the same time, you're going to invest in your future, and that's kind of what it is. It's an investment. Typically, all these companies, all these gear companies, equipment companies, are very, very good on their warranties. I know Osprey. I've had a couple things that they fixed. It's no questions asked, and they replace it for you. They take care of you, and that's how you get good customer, or that's how you keep good customers, and that's how you build your name and your brand. And learning a lot about gear and all that, it's important. If you can do that, you're going to have people who are going to spend $600 on a sleeping bag because it's quality, and
Right.
you'll have it for years.
Yeah. Actually, I do love Osprey. I still have my original Osprey Kestrel. That was one of the very first ones I bought, the real backpacking packs I bought, and I love it. I took it with me this past January when I went to Oil Creek
Nice.
in Pennsylvania. So yeah, it's a great, and it's held up so well.
Mm-hmm.
Fantastic. But yeah, I love Osprey's gear. I love that there's so many different options for
Mm-hmm.
gear. Pretty much, there's a lot of great quality companies,
Yeah,
and just got to
definitely.
find what you're into and what you. So you're talking about your tent. Have you ever tried hammock camping?
Oh, I love hammock camping. I
Okay.
have 7 hammocks.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah. I actually did with our local outfitter here. They did a frozen butt hang
Yeah.
in Germantown, and I went to that, and I slept in my. I have a hammock. It was a Kickstarter called Litho Hammocks. 2 brothers out west decided to do a Kickstarter on hammocks, and it's a double hammock, but it's like a true double. I mean, Eno says they have double hammocks. This was a true double hammock.
Huh.
It has cam buckles for your connectors to your nylon straps, and the nylon straps are 11 feet each. With about the 11-foot hammock, you can span almost 30-something feet,
Wow.
which is phenomenal.
Nice.
So I love hammock camping. That's actually predominantly what I've done is hammock camping.
Awesome.
And I have this hammock cocoon. I don't know if you're familiar with these things. They're a
Uh-uh.
little bulky. It's by Snuggly. I think it's a company out of Europe. And it's what it is. It's a hammock cocoon. You get in it. It goes around your hammock. You have a zipper to get in and out, and it seals at the very end where your connecting points are.
Huh.
And it has elastic on it, so you're not going to bottom out. You're not going to compress the material and get cold. So I've been in as low as 25 degrees in a hammock and have been
Wow.
sweating without having a super heavy sleeping bag. I think I took my 55-degree bag because I knew how warm that. But you're going to be carrying weight. So
Right.
it's a give and take. But yeah, no, I love hammock camping. I was actually going to get away from it for a while, and I did, and I went back to it just about a couple months ago, and did it and loved it. So yeah.
Nice. Is that what you took to the frozen butt hang, the
Yeah.
Snuggly?
Yeah. Actually, did I do that? Yes, I did. Yeah.
I can't
I did.
remember. I don't think it got that cold. This was like the first year I
Uh,
haven't gone to that in probably 5 years. I went like 5 years in a row. It was the first year I haven't
oh.
gone.
Yeah, no, it was pretty warm. I think the rain, the forecast was rain that weekend, and a lot of people kind of backed out because it was full
Yeah.
based on the registration that I saw and heard. But yeah, I think it got down to maybe 40s, so it really wasn't that cold at all, especially if you had all the gear.
Yeah, that thing is full. That thing fills up every year. Every year that I've gone, it's been full. Um, and even like the first time I went, I forget what year that was, but it got down, I think, 7 degrees that
Wow.
night. And
Wow.
I don't think I was fully equipped for that cold, but I made it through the night. But I think I had like 3 quilts. I had like pads underneath me and everything else. It was like, oh, man, I lived.
Yes. Well, I saw your review on the most recent the quarantine video and of that the overquilt. That looks pretty nice. I'm really thinking about doing maybe an overquilt or an underquilt. Obviously, overquilt for sleeping, but underquilt. Yeah, I've thought about that too.
Yeah, my underquilt is, I have an underquilt from a company that doesn't exist anymore called Wilderness. What is it? Outdoor Wilderness, something like that. Wilderness Logics. Sorry.
Okay.
Yeah, they went out of business. The founder passed away,
Hmm.
but it is amazing. 20-degree underquilt, and then the hammock gear top quilt. They are awesome. Hammock gear is awesome. So if you're looking at, there's a couple companies, but Hammock Gear, they're based here in Ohio, so they're
Okay.
awesome. Yeah, and they have what I got. It's the economy top quilt, and it's literally ready made. It's not, you don't have to customize or anything. It's just ready off the shelf, and
That's
they'll ship it
awesome.
right out to you in a couple days. And being in the same state, I think I got it in like 2 days.
Oh, cool. That's
Yeah,
very cool.
so it was awesome. But their gears, I have a few pieces of gear from them. I have some mesh snake skins sleeves for my hammock because I have a dream hammock Raven that I primarily sleep in. So
Okay.
love it. Yeah, it's cool
Yeah,
stuff.
like I said, I had the litho hammock. I don't know if I think I haven't checked, but when they first came out, it went pretty fast. They did really well. They made their goal. Obviously, I have some Enos. I have a bare butt one, and I had my very first one. Forget the brand, but it had the mosquito net built in, and
Mm.
it was really cool. I mean, I used it, but it tore, unfortunately,
Oh,
material. And but yeah, that was kind of my first experience. After that first trip to Zaleski was hammock camping for the most part, predominantly what I've done.
yeah. My first hammock was a Hennessy hammock, Hennessy Expedition.
Yeah.
And I remember my friend, he told, I was still in a tent and he was doing hammock camping. He was trying to convince me that I should try a hammock. And I was like, you're insane. There's like no way that I'm gonna be able to sleep comfortably in that thing. And so he had me try it. He had me lay in it. And I was like, holy cow, this is amazing. And I was hooked from then on.
Yeah.
He ended up he upgraded his and sold me that Hennessy. And I used that for a few years, and then I upgraded to my dream hammock. Oh, man, yeah. And if you ever decide to start a YouTube channel, man, you can get all kinds of hammocks and stuff sent to you from China.
Very
I get
cool.
so many of these Chinese companies like, "Hey, would you like to try out this brand of hammock?" And I'm like, "Okay, sure." And so I probably have 7 or 8 hammocks as well sitting in my gear area right now.
Yeah, they're great, and as you know, you definitely have to kind of figure it out. Obviously, your hang angle, you have to find the right trees with the right distance, and for the longest time, I would wake up and my shoulders would hurt so bad because I got compressed. It would because I didn't get the right hang angle, and so that's what kind of got me to start thinking about: do I really want to keep hammock camping? Just because the discomfort, but I finally figured it out, and some of the best night's sleep is laying in my hammock
Oh
outside.
yeah, definitely, especially when you've been hiking for, miles and miles and miles, and then you sleep in that, and you wake up with no pressure, and it's like, oh wow, just amazing.
Mm-hmm. It's phenomenal.
But I've had some questionable nights in a hammock though. If I've set up in the dark and I got a bad hang or something, it's like, oh man.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I'll take that over a tent. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I hear you. It's definitely my last night on the Virginia Triple Crown. I was on North Mountain Ridge, and I knew some rain was coming in the forecast, and I got everything set up, and I slept pretty decent after I encountered those bears. But it was one of those moments where you wake up and it's raining, and you're like, oh, if I lay here and try to wait out the rain, I'm prolonging my day. But if I just man up and get out, get a little wet, and put my stuff away, I'll get on the trail faster. But
yeah,
it's just kind of, the tent was nice in that moment to do, but I wish I would have had my hammock and had my tarp that I could have been under and clean everything up, put everything, and just had my tarp to worry about. But it was what it was.
I forgot about your bear encounter.
Yeah, my bear encounter, that was something else.
Tell us that story again.
So my third night, I had just come down from Tinker Cliffs off the AT, and I had made the decision prior to that in the day that I was either going to get to the parking lot before I ascended into North Mountain Ridge and have the person I was hiking with take me back to my vehicle, just because I was like tired, and you kind of get in your head and a little sore, obviously, for hiking the amount of miles that I did. Or I was just going to keep going. And I got to the parking lot before we hit North Mountain. And I was like, you know what? I'm just going to keep going. So I said goodbye to my hiking partner, and I started heading up. As soon as I walked on to that trail from that parking lot, I see a hunter in full camo, and he's got his hunting gear. And he looks at me, and I look at him, and we're both kind of like, I don't want you to be here right now. And then he makes a comment like, well, it's public land. We're both allowed to be here. And I kind of looked at him like, okay. So, okay. And then I walk off, and he goes, you'll probably scare him my way anyway, talking about the deer or turkey or whatever. And so I'm going up, 6 miles to where I'm going to end up camping. It's about 3 miles up the side of this ridge, going zigzagging back and forth. I see deer, I see wild turkey and all that. I'm like, wow, this guy knows where to come and go hunting. And so I get on the top of the ridge, and I know I got about 3 more miles or so to where I want to finally camp based on, everything that I planned out. So I get there, I get to my spot. It's right off the trail, and I'm like, this is it. I'm going to make camp. At this point, it's almost 17 miles of hiking, which was a lot for me. That's almost, through hikers' easy day. But for me, it was like, man, this is the furthest I've ever hiked before. And so I get up there, and I'm setting my stuff up, and I'm about to eat dinner. So I get out my camp food. It's lasagna. And I boil my water, and I put it in. And as soon as I close up the seal to let it start cooking, I hear this, rustling about probably 10, 15 feet away. And I'm thinking to myself, okay, the sun's still up. The wind's picking up. Hopefully, I think I'm downwind of what potentially is anywhere. And I look up, and there's this black bear, probably 5 feet in standing, both arms up in the air.
Oh, no.
And my initial thought was, what have I read? What should I do? And so all I can remember is, black bear, you're going to make yourself look bigger than they are and make as much noise as possible. So I grab my Trek poles, and I start screaming and banging my Trek poles together to make as much loud noise as possible. And as I'm doing that, I make eye contact with this bear. He looks at me, and I look at him. I'm assuming it's a boy. And he's like, whites in his eyes, and he just takes off running. And I'm like, oh my gosh. And I'm starting to like realize what was going on. And before I do, I see this blurry image off to my right up in a tree. And it's another black bear. Same scenario. He looks me in the eyes, and he's like, oh crap. And he falls out of the tree. He's probably a good 5 feet in the tree, falls down to the ground, and just hightails it out of there.
Oh man.
And in that moment, I was like, why didn't I have my camera? I should have took a picture of that. But surprisingly, I slept like a baby, probably one of the best nights of sleep I've had on the trail. It was just one of those scenarios that thankfully I got through it. And black bears, I mean, you still don't want to mess with it. It's still wild. It's still nature.
Right.
But I survived that and had a little story to tell. So.
But yeah, like you said, like 99.9% of the time they're terrified of us and they don't want anything to do with it.
Exactly.
So it was probably like, what the heck am I doing?
Yeah, smelled the lasagna and then realized, wait a minute, I don't want to mess with this guy.
This is not worth it.
Yeah, and I found out later too by a local that actually the black bears are hunted on that mountain. It's illegal there; it's public land, and so definitely those bears were more scared of me than I was of them. So,
wow, that is one animal I have yet to see out in the wild. As many times as I've been hiking, backpacking, never seen a bear on the trail. Never seen a bear on the trail.
Well, that's good. I know Shenandoah. You go through Skyline Drive over there on the AT. They're right there in the park. So
yeah, I've seen them in Gatlinburg. Stayed in a condo in Gatlinburg, and I saw like 10. I saw the biggest bear of my life in Gatlinburg rummaging through a dumpster. It was about a 500 pounder.
Wow.
It was because we were driving down the mountain. I got me and my family, and we're going down to downtown Gatlinburg, and there's a city official guy in this red truck, in Gatlinburg truck, and he's like, "There's a bear down there." He stopped in the middle of the road. He just jumped out of his truck, and he's like, "There's a bear, and he's huge." And I'm like, "Okay, let's all go look at it, family."
Pretty much.
Like an idiot. I'm like, what was I thinking? So I got the whole family, me and my kids and my wife, and we're standing there watching this bear rummage through the dumpster. And I'm like, this is really stupid. And then it sees us and it's whatever. And it just keeps going through.
Yeah.
But they have no fear.
No, we were down there with some friends down in Gatlinburg. We went to Rainbow Falls in the Smoky Mountains and at Smoky Mountain National Forest. And we go in and I mean, it's completely packed. The parking lot's full of people. I mean, you have to find parking on the road. And we're walking in, we're about to get to the falls. And then people are just like silent. And all of a sudden this big old bear, had to be a mama bear. She comes out and you see like the gender, put gender on him. I have no clue. I wasn't checking. But this bear is massive, like probably not as big as that 500 pounder, but it was big. Gets on the trail, starts walking the trail for probably a good about 20, 30 yards, just takes a look back, looks at everyone like, what's the commotion? What's everyone scared for? And then just goes off trail and just walks away. And everyone's, did you guys see that? People had their phones out. I mean, it was pretty cool. But like you said, they're not, it's kind of their territory. They can do what they want.
Yeah. And what's funny is that same trip where I saw that huge bear and those other bears, I did a hike to Mount LeConte, day hike.
Oh, nice.
And it was August, so they were in full swing. I did not see one bear. I hiked all the way. I started at like 5 a.m, hiking up to that mountain to the summit. Did not see. I don't think I even saw a squirrel on that hike. It was kind of weird.
Yeah, definitely.
But I think that trail's pretty popular, so I think they stay away from it.
Yeah, that's Smoky Mountains is beautiful. We love to go down there as a family and down to Gatlinburg and Pigeon Forge, and it's beautiful out there. So.
Well, hopefully we'll be able to get back down to those kind of places soon, and things will kind of get back to normal here, hopefully.
Very true. Very true.
So tell us about Trailblazing Hope, man. So what's the mission, and what made you decide to pursue your dream of Trailblazing Hope?
So Trailblazing Hope, Trailblazing Hope Outdoors is a nonprofit organization that is in the process of starting. It came out of this concept or this mentality of being a trailblazer, and a trailblazer is someone who goes ahead, someone who clears the trail for others to make it easier for them. The person that's out ahead is the one that's getting stuck with all the thistles and briars and getting whipped in the face with the trees, and they're the ones out front. And my wife and I, for the whole time we've been married, almost 17 years, we've been in situations, part of organizations, where we have been the ones blazing the trail. And in the moment, you don't realize you're blazing a trail. You just see the opposition in front of you, and it's frustrating. It's angry. Like, it makes you angry. kind of makes you disillusioned about why you're a part of that organization. And after the fact, after we leave, several places, we look back and they're doing those exact same things that we were suggesting or pushing for, or even, blazing that trail. And then the concept of hope is just something that I think a lot of people, especially right now, are seeming to lose or not have, or kind of forget about, or not realize that it's there for them. And so this mentality or the mindset of Trailblazing Hope is just going ahead of people to provide them with a sense of hope of who they are as a human being, an individual, who they are in regards to interaction with others around them, and then with our environment, with our world, with creation. And I think as a Trailblazer of Hope, or Trailblazing Hope, our mission is to provide access to healing and restoration through the modality of the outdoors. Modality is a type, not a type of, it's not everything. It's just one option, one type. And me personally, over the last 7 years of being outdoors and exploring and kind of, on these solo trips, having these internal monologues, seeing the benefits, and especially in my school right now, academically, all the studies that have revealed the benefits of nature, not just this, ethereal tree hugger, mambo jumbo karma, whatever you want to call it stuff. It's real benefits, physiologically, psychologically, emotionally, that they're available for people. And it's something that I have a passion for is the outdoors, and it's also people. Most of my life, I've been drawn to people, and this, especially from a spiritual standpoint and my upbringing, and then also the career that I pursued after the military. But recognizing that it doesn't always look what we think it looks like, kind of outside the box thinking. And so Trailblazing Hope is just this concept, this idea, this mindset, providing access. That's kind of what our team is kind of trying to pick apart, is who is this for? Who honestly, it's for everybody. It is. You don't have to look a certain way, talk a certain way, have a certain amount of money to go out there and enjoy it. It's free. But there are some mental barriers, there's some emotional barriers, there's some physical barriers for people to get out there. And it's this concept of access, and providing access for people who don't think they have it, because they either don't see themselves represented in it, they can't get there because of maybe their socioeconomic status, and the mental access, or the blocking of the mental access, where they just don't know that it can benefit them. So yeah, it's kind of it in a nutshell, a little bit.
I love that concept, though. Getting people out there who don't think that they have an outlet to get out there. I think that's fantastic.
Yeah, so that's kind of the the mindset, the kind of the theory behind it. The practical side of it is obviously the outdoors. It's providing people an outlet to go, and so it's outfitting people. It's getting them a gear to go out. It's teaching them how to set up a tent, how to start a fire, how do you maintain a campsite, how to properly do it. Leave no trace is a big part of that. If people are watching this and they don't know what Leave No Trace is, go check out Leave No Trace or lnt.org, learn all about it. And it's just concepts of how you can be a smarter person. It's funny, this journey that I've been on, because I've never been one to just throw my trash out the window. I've always been respectful in that. I've been taught that way. But it goes beyond just littering or not littering. It goes on to where you're walking, how you're setting up your campsite. What are you using? Are you chopping down a brand new tree, a sapling, to make your fire, when first of all, it's not going to be an enjoyable fire for you, but it's also, you're harming what's out there and providing for you. So it's providing people awareness. It's education. As you probably have heard and read, and people watching this have probably seen, our national parks are getting obliterated by people who don't know these things. And yeah, you can be like, oh, it's common sense, but it's not really. And I think there's an education element that needs to be in place for people. I saw someone put a sign up at a local metro park here to tell people to take care of the parks, because they picked a whole big, like 2 pounds of trash out of the woods, and they left a sign, but they left verbiage that the average person who doesn't hike would not know and not understand. They left the acronym LNT. Well, I don't know what LNT is if I don't know leave no trace. I wouldn't have thrown my trash if I were, adhered to leave no trace. So that's the kind of the practical side of Trailblazing Hope Outdoors, is to give practical tools and tips for people to enjoy the time while they're out there. And then while they're out there, let nature do it. Let nature run its course from all those areas I mentioned.
Yeah, and that's a really good point. There's a lot of people who just don't even think about that. They don't, they go out in the woods like, I don't even think about throwing my trash. It's an educational thing for sure. And I think with the situation we're in right now, with people not being able to do much of anything, there's been a lot more people going out to our natural places, the ones that are open, and maybe there's more damage happening now. I'm very happy that people are getting out and experiencing the outdoors more, but at the same time, there's a lot of people out there who aren't necessarily thinking about the impacts that they're making.
Yeah, they're going there because that's the only place they're allowed to go. So it's kind of like water; it's going to go to the place of least resistance. And
right.
There needs to be some elements, and I think knowing a couple people in the Metro Park system that work for them, I think this is an eye-opening thing for them. Not because they haven't done what they're supposed to be doing, but we've never faced this before. We've never had to be stuck in our houses for this long, and so hopefully that'll help our metro parks kind of address an education plan for people who are now experiencing these things for the first time.
Yeah. So you're working directly with Five Rivers Metro Parks then?
So there is a potential for me to have an internship with them for this during the summer, in alignment with my master's program. And I don't know where that'll lead. I love the Midwest outdoor experience that happens here every October, the first weekend of October. It's a phenomenal, 3-day event, 2-night event, that I highly recommend people go to and be a part of if you're in the area. And it just highlights what we have here. I believe it's thousands of miles of bike trail, and a river system for kayaking and canoeing, and then all the metro parks. And we have our own backcountry trail in Germantown and Twin Creek parks, the TVT, the Twin Valley Trail. And so it's just kind of highlighting that. And I would love to be a part of the Metro Park system in some capacity. But yeah, I had the chance of taking a wilderness first responder course here in March at Possum Creek, and one of my classmates works for the Metro Parks, and phenomenal people and phenomenal parks. And it's a great place, great organization.
That's awesome. So if people want to help you out with Trailblazing Hope, what can they do? Can they volunteer their time or donate? How can they help you out?
Yeah, so we're kind of ramping up things as far as that structure, that system. We are looking to start acquiring gear. Our initial goal is to get about probably 5 to 10 sets of gear for our participants. And so it's backpacks, it's truck poles, it's tents, sleeping bags, sleeping pads, stuff like that. So people can go to trailblazinghope.com, and we have a donate section. We will be shortly accepting financial charitable donations, as we will be considered a 501c3 nonprofit. And so that's something that we're hoping to do. And then as far as volunteering, when we get our programming up and running, we definitely would love to have people participate in helping lead trips going out. As I mentioned, wilderness first responder, we are going to take safety as one of our high priorities, make it a high priority. And so there will be someone who is qualified as first aid. So if you are a WWOOFer, as we call them, or a WWOOFA, wilderness first aid, then we would love to have you be a part of our program and help do that. And so, yeah, we're looking for people who want to go outside and play and lead people in doing so. So yeah, that's what we're looking for right now.
That's awesome. I love that mission. I love the idea of that. I'd like to help out with that somehow.
Definitely. We'd love to have you be a part.
Cool. All right, man. Well, it's been awesome having you on. Thank you so much for coming on, talking to me.
Yeah, I appreciate the invite, man. I really enjoyed talking to you briefly at the Adventure Summit, and then, like I said, I've been watching you through your channel, your YouTube channel, and it's great stuff. It's exciting to see someone who has the same passions and is doing something from a social media standpoint and bringing that awareness, but then just also having fun. I mean, that's what it's about. It's enjoying what we have outside and not trying to overthink it. And I appreciate it, man. It's been great. It was a great talk.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. All right. Well, take care. I'll talk to you really soon then.
Yeah, definitely, man. I can't wait till this thing's lifted and we can go hike a trail or two.
We will get back out there. It'll happen.
All right, brother. I appreciate it.
All right. See you.
Have a good one. Bye.
You too.